With this one, we're asked to solve this system of equation using matrices. Okay, and we've solved some systems of equations before, but this one wants us to use matrices, which will work just fine. But it'll take a little bit of practice to get it down. So the first thing we want to do is convert all of these equations here into matrices, into one matrix, excuse me. The way that we do that is we take all the coefficients. The coefficient of this x is a 1, this one's a -1, this is a 3. We're also going to include our answer in here, which is 4. So your matrix should look like this. Okay, this 1 corresponds with the 1x, 2 corresponds with 2y, -2 corresponds with -2z, and 10 corresponds over here with this 10. Okay, so that's our very first thing. Now, what our goal here when we're dealing with this matrix, essentially our goal is to eliminate the x terms for the second equation. In other words, eliminate this one, make this a 0, and eliminate the x and the y terms, both these two here. Make both of those zeros in the third equation. If we can do that, then we automatically will find out what z is, okay? So imagine getting rid of this x here and getting rid of the x and the y, then we know what z is, and then we can kind of back substitute to find out what our other values are. So the goal is basically, when we're looking at this matrix, is to have ones in a diagonal, and it will look like this. Notice these red ones, that's what we want to have. Okay, we're going to eliminate the 0 in the x position in the second equation, and then or we're going to eliminate the x position in the second equation and the x and the y in the third equation. That's what our goal is, okay? So I'm going to take this and I'm going to move this right up here. I'm going to kind of get rid of this just for the time being, just so we have room. All right. So this is what our goal is. Here's what we're starting out with. So let's copy this down. That way we have something to work with. This is the exact same thing. The only difference is that I kind of made it a little bit smaller just so we have room. We're going to end up filling up this whole screen. Okay. Now I look at these particular ones and I say, okay, I have some here. And what I'm going to need to do is I need to get a 0 here. And the way that I'm going to get rid of a 0 here, I will take this one and I will take my second row. I will subtract this first row, and that will become my new second row. Okay, so I've got this matrix here. I'm taking this second row here. I'm going to subtract this first one, and that will give me my new one. So we've got 1 minus 1. Well, 1 minus 1 is 0, so I'll fill that in here. Here's my new one. 2 minus -1 would yield me 3, and I write that in right here. -2 minus 3, and that will go right here. That would be a -5. 10 minus 4 will yield me a 6. Okay, so there we go. I've got a brand new second equation, and so far so good. I'm getting closer to this one. I've got a 0 right here. So that's working out pretty good for me. Now, I don't automatically try to make this one a 1 yet. What I will try to do is get 0 here. I need to 0 everything out here first. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is change this third equation. And the way I'm going to change the third equation is I'm going to take the third equation and subtract 3 times row 1. 3 times this first one here, and that will give me my new third one. So I take my third equation, and I go 3 minus, and this is going to be 3 times 1 would be 3. So 3 minus 3, that would give me my 0 here. That worked out really nice for us. And then -1 minus 3 times -1. 3 times -1 would be a positive 3. So -1 plus 3 will give me 2. 5 times, and this 3 times this one would be 9. So 5 minus 9 will give me -4. And then my last one, 14 minus, and then 3 times 4 is 12. So 14 minus 12 will give me 2. Okay, so far so good. I've got 2 zeros here. We're getting closer. We've still got a little ways to go, but we are getting closer. I need to try to see if I can either work on reducing these down. I need to get this to a 1. I also need to get this one to a 0 and this one to a 1. So let's rewrite this one just so we have some more room. I just took this one that I had before here. I just essentially took this one and rewrote it back down here. Okay. Okay, so now that we have it written down there, now I'll get rid of this arrow sign here just so we can kind of see what we're doing. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1/2 of this row right here. If I take this whole row here and just cut it all in half, and as long as, remember, it's like an equation, we're going to be operating on both sides of the equation. We're going to divide everything by 2, essentially. So as long as we do it to both sides, as long as we do it to everything, we're okay. It doesn't change the value. So I'm going to do that now. Here's my new one. 0 divided by 2, 1/2 of 0 is just 0. 2 divided, or 2 times 1/2, or 2 divided by 2 is 1. Negative 4, half of negative 4 would be negative 2. And then half of 2 is just 1. Okay, so we've got that one set up. Now I need to take, just so I have some room, I'll rewrite this one over to the side. Okay, now that I have this one written over to the side, this is going to sound a little bit weird, but what I'm going to do is actually switch rows 2 and 3. Order does not matter here. I've got my first one set up. That one is already a 1. But if you notice right here, I have a 1 in this one. If I switch these two, now I'm starting to set it up where I've got a 0 and a 1, which is really what I want. If you look up here, I've got a 0, then a 1. This one is a 1, so I'm just going to switch these two rows. So again, I'm not changing any values. I just changed the placement. Instead of this being row 2, now it's row 3. And instead of this one being row 3, now this is row 2. Okay, again, I haven't changed any values. I see that I'm running out of room, so I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller, and again, copy it back down. Okay, so I've put it over here now. I'm getting closer. I need to still have this one be a 0 and this one turn into a 1. So let's start working on those. Okay, the way that I will do that is I'm going to take this one right here. I'm going to take row 3 and then I'm going to subtract 3 times row 2. And that will give me my new row 3. The reason why I'm not going back to this row 1 is because I have a 1 out here. So if I try to do anything with that one, if I went row 3 times 3 times row 1, this would be 0 minus 3. And that would give me a new number here. And I already have my 0 here, so I'm not going to really deal with that at all. Once I kind of do my first row, then I really don't do too much to the first row anymore. I kind of concentrate on these other ones because they have my zeros. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite these ones. I've got row 3, which is 3. Minus 3 times 1 would be 3. So 3 minus 3 would give me my 0. Right there, there we go. Because this one's just 0 minus 0 is still 0. So 3 minus 3 minus 3 would give me 0. So I write that in right here. And so you can see this kind of start to take shape when we compare it to our original one up here. Okay, so I'm going to take this one. I've got a negative 5, which is my row 3, minus 3 times negative 2. So I've got a negative 3 times a negative 2. That is going to give me a positive 6. So negative 5 plus 6 would yield me a 1. So there's our 1 right here. This one here, I've got a 6 minus 3 times 1, which is negative 3. So 6 minus 3 will give me a final answer there of 3. Okay, so you notice here, now this is exactly what I wanted to get, which was up here. All my 1s in a diagonal, and these are all 0s right here. Now that really helps me quite a bit. And here's why this helps me. I've got all my red 1s, it's what I'm looking for. I'm going to move this, I'm going to take this whole thing here and I'm just going to move it up just so I have some more room now. So this is what I ended up with, and this is important because if I want to rewrite this as an equation, remember this is my x, my y, and my z, so I have 1z equals 3. And I can fill in the rest. Z equals 3. This is 1y minus 2z equals 1. And this is 1x minus y, 1y, plus 3z equals 4. So I can rewrite all of these. But one key component that I know is I know that z equals 3. That's going to be important. Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use back substitution to find out what my other values are. If I know that z equals 3, I can plug in 3 right here and find out what my y value is. So let's do that now. Here's my equation. I take my 3 and I plug it in right here for z. Okay? So I'm going to rewrite this, but instead of writing z, I'm going to plug in my 3. Okay, so now that I've got that set up, negative 2 times 3 would give me a negative 6. Y minus 6 equals 1. I'm going to add 6 to both sides. Then I find out that y equals 7. Okay, now that I know z equals 3 and y equals 7, I can find out what my x value is. But I have to take this equation. I can't take this one. It doesn't do me any good. I don't know where my x values are. They don't exist in that equation anymore. So I have to take my original equation up here. I'll rewrite that equation. Now I'm going to plug in 3 for z and 7 for y. So let's do that now. So here's my 7. I plugged that in here, right here for y, and my 3 for z. Now let's simplify it a little bit. I know that 3 times 3 is 9. Negative times 7 is just negative 7. So I've got x minus 7 plus 9 equals 4. Negative 7 plus 9 I know is 2. In order to simplify this, I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So 4 minus 2 gives me 2. So I find out that x equals 2. So I've got x equals 2, y equals 7, and z equals 3. The way that you'll write this one is all in one parenthesis. My x value, remember you put them in alphabetical order, x, y, z. My x value was 2, 7, and z is 3. And that's it. And there's quite a bit to that one. And it's a little bit difficult at first, but as you get some more practice, it is not quite as bad as it is at first.